Finishers. They're the ultimates of fighting. They serve the purpose of tipping the tides of battle in favor of one team. However, not every finisher in fighting is created equally. Some hold more impact than others. Today, I'm going to take a look at each finisher and rank them to the best of my ability. Let's get started. Number 15. Boombox's Raining Tacos. It really is sad to see what is essentially a functional support finisher in theory be absolutely useless due to its currently weak and nerfed state. Raining Tacos is meant to be used as a panic button to provide extra defense temporarily for the entire team, but because the shield decays so rapidly, it makes little to no impact on improving team survivability. Even its small buffs, such as granting haste or a much weaker permanent shield, are not enough from saving it to be ranked as the worst finisher in the game currently, and in my opinion, the only finisher on this list that actually is bad. Every other finisher, even ones on the lower end of this ranking, can find some use in niche situations, but Raining Tacos has just been gutted so badly that it can barely accomplish anything, even in the right scenarios. We can only hope for the alleged Boombox rework to restore him back to his former glory and hopefully fix this finisher's abysmal performance. Number 14. Sword's Almighty Axle Arc. Almighty Axle Arc seems alright at a first glance. It deals high damage, knockback, and creates area denial. However, it's weighed down by the time it takes for the sword to explode. At 1.5 seconds, opponents will often be able to step out of the way and completely avoid taking damage. Sword also cannot use any abilities until his sword explodes, making him briefly vulnerable. But doesn't the explosion provide some area denial? Unfortunately, although the explosion duration is long enough to react to and avoid, it is too short to really be impactful in stopping enemies from approaching. Even then, it is often used in Conqueror to take some space for a brief period of time. Overall, Almighty Axle Arc could be more useful if not for its explosion and lag and the vulnerable position it puts Sword in. Number 13. Rocket's Grand Cannonade. Grand Cannonade is a potent and effective area denial finisher. It covers a sizable area, making it excellent for Conqueror, allowing a team to gain space while displacing opponents. However, like Sword upon use, Rocket is very vulnerable, especially considering Rocket needs line of sight in order to position where to fire. It also lacks kill power because it relies on RNG to deal significant damage, making it unsuitable for Annihilation. The highs for Conqueror cancel out the lows for Annihilation, making Grand Cannonade balanced but nothing exceptional. Number 12. Coil's Frostbite Fusion. Frostbite Fusion switches Coil from a support to a DPS fighter for 10 seconds, changing his moveset entirely. Noticeably, Coil's primary and secondary become ranged and gain Pierce, letting Coil stay at safer distances while damaging multiple enemies. The splash damage is also good at eliminating lower HP and squishier fighters, while still dealing chip damage to nearby enemies. The biggest drawback with Frostbite Fusion is that Coil is unable to cycle through Coil's and Grant allies' buffs, subsequently losing his abilities to support. It doesn't help that he himself becomes more vulnerable because he can't heal himself. Comparing it to something similar like Biograph's finisher, it is significantly weaker at getting kills and therefore making an impact. A respectable finisher that has its moments in both Annihilation and Conqueror that is unfortunately lower in the rankings because of its loss of support and competition with Biograph's finisher. Number 11. Scythe's Stalking Ambush and Final Serenade. Scythe is unique in that she has two separate finishers, fitting into her role as a hybrid fighter. Stalking Ambush is used to close distance between long-range fighters, finish off low-health opponents, and fall back. It's also amazing for catching fighters off guard and bringing their attention fully to Scythe. Meanwhile, Final Serenade is used to deal insane damage in a small area. It often is most effective against slow and low mobility fighters. Both finishers provide Scythe with a lot of versatility, giving her the advantage of adapting quickly. However, both finishers also share weaknesses. Stalking Ambush can only target and hit one enemy, making it unsuitable and dangerous to use in large groups. And Final Serenade slows Scythe's mobility, making it more difficult to land reliably. It's a real case of jack of trades, but master of none. Even then, Stalking Ambush and Final Serenade are well-balanced finishers that can shine in the right circumstances. Number 10. Katana's Soul Splicer. Soul Splicer is a powerful and lethal melee finisher that excels in forcing enemies to fall back while dealing massive damage at once. It instantly applies 5 stacks of Looming Misfortune to all enemies hit, slowing their mobility and giving Katana a shield. This works great with Katana because it briefly negates his slow speed, allowing him to chase after enemies alongside gaining increased survivability. Soul Splicer also covers a large area, around the size of the Conqueror point, making it an excellent finisher for Conqueror. Its biggest drawback is definitely its long finisher animation at 1.75 seconds, often resulting in more mobile fighters to dodge it completely. It's also important to keep in mind that while using Soul Splicer, Katana is immobile and does not have a quick escape option, making him an easy target for high damaging long range fighters like Slingshot or Hyper Laser, so it's wise to not use in very open spaces. Overall, an amazing finisher for Conqueror that can sometimes have value in Annihilate, albeit with more difficulty. Number 9. Skateboard's the Cool Rad Coffin. The Cool Rad Coffin is a unique finisher attached to a melee fighter that focuses on granting team support rather than dealing damage. It's an area attack that stuns all enemies hit for 2 seconds, allowing your team to swoop in and make quick work of them. It's also the first finisher on this ranking that introduces finisher synergies, leading to deadly combos that can wipe entire teams. However, its reliance on other teammates is also its biggest weakness, as its damage is not high enough to consistently eliminate enemies. Comparing it to Subspace's finisher, its duration of immobilizing enemies is much shorter, and its area denial is less effective. Still, the Cool Rad Coffin is a powerful finisher best utilized to set up combos for other teammates, and can be valuable in both Conquer and Annihilate. Number 8. Vinestaff's Lotus of the Den. Lotus of the Den excels in providing insane widespread support and area control. Its biggest strength is helping Vinestaff with micromanaging between supporting teammates, as it grants regeneration and plant sprouts near them. It also strengthens Vinestaff's ability to plant sprouts, leading to more regeneration. And with all these sprouts planted on the field, opposing enemies will want to back up, as otherwise they'll face a team that is constantly healing and have to fight an uphill battle. All of these aspects make Lotus of the Den incredible for all game modes, but it's undeniable that it particularly shines in Conquer. It does have 2 weaknesses. One, it's not very effective as a panic button, due to regeneration being on a timer and not instantly healing health. And 2, if Vinestaff is killed, the effects of Lotus of the Den disappear. With her low mobility already making her a prime target, Vinestaff needs to have the support of her team while using her finisher. Other than that, Lotus of the Den is extremely potent if left unintended, and can gain value in any game mode as long as you stick with your team. Number 7. Shuriken's Guillotine Blossom. The finisher of nullifying support, Guillotine Blossom is excellent for its utility, applying the debuff Anti-Heal on enemies hit for 3 seconds. Anti-Heal, as the name implies, stops all healing and is extremely potent in shutting down opposing support fighters, notably Medkit and Subspace, who have no shields and therefore rely entirely on healing. Alongside utility, Guillotine Blossom as a damaging finisher is incredibly strong. The Shurikens summoned by Guillotine Blossom encircle Shuriken, dealing consistent damage to nearby enemies. The Shurikens are also piercing, and so can damage multiple enemies at once. With this dangerous combination, it's almost a guarantee that Guillotine Blossom will often cripple grouped enemies, making them much easier to finish off. The only weakness of Guillotine Blossom is its value decreases if enemies are spread apart, but even then, if it's able to kill even just an enemy team support fighter, that can tip victory in favor of the Shuriken's team. A fantastic finisher to have in all game modes, especially when dealing against enemy support. Number 6. Slingshot's Leg Day. Leg Day is just an exceptionally flexible finisher. It has insane range and reach coupled with piercing, allowing Slingshot to shoot through walls. It deals instant high damage with great kill power. It covers an area, allowing for area denial and hitting multiple enemies. And it gives Slingshot an insane mobility boost. The cherry on top is that Slingshot gains X-ray vision, which opens up various methods of use. You can identify low HP opponents who are falling back or taking cover and snipe them. You can see when opponents are grouped up and deal massive amounts of damage from afar. You can even use it for reconnaissance, gaining intel and alerting your teammates locations of the enemy team. The level of versatility Leg Day has is to the point of being ridiculous, and is why it almost always offers some form of value and impact when used, regardless of the game mode. Number 5. Biograph's Overdrive. The better of the 2 amplification finishers, Overdrive is a terrifying force to face and is especially deadly against enemy support. It greatly increases Biograph's attack speed and damage, allowing him to shred any lower HP enemy in seconds. It also grants Biograph a small shield after every kill, incentivizing him to play extremely aggressively. Aggressive playstyles counter support fighters greatly, as they often have limited mobility and so become sitting ducks for Biograph. Destroying the enemy's support hinders remaining enemies to stay alive with no healing, causing a domino effect that results in the opposing team wiping out. Overdrive doesn't have any major weaknesses, just 2 things to be mindful of. 1. Overdrive causes Biograph to lose HP every second until recasted, so it's important to be wary of your health and fall back when necessary. And 2. It's advised not to charge into large groups with Overdrive due to how squishy Biograph is. Only charge into grouped enemies if a majority of them are at low HP. I've seen too many Biographs use Overdrive, charge into an enemy group and die instant. Instead, it's best to target and single out enemies that are separated or farther away from a group. Regardless, this type of pure killing power is rare among most finishers, and is why Overdrive is extremely useful in both game modes, excelling particularly in Annihilation. After all, the best enemy fighter is a dead one. Number 4. Subspace's Noxious Void. Noxious Void takes the cool Rad Coffin's ability to provide for team synergy and cranks it up by 100. Noxious Void is the best finisher for finisher and team combos, as any enemies caught in it will be pulled together, forced to stand stationary for 6.5 seconds. It's also incredible for area denial, with its duration being incredibly long and covering a large area, making it one of, if not the best, finishers for Conquer. Noxious Void is also great in that even in instances where it doesn't catch anyone, it still needs to be respected by enemies. If used to block off entrances or choke points, enemies will not want to push forward, giving your team more time to take space and regroup. Although the finisher does have a somewhat long ult animation that puts Subspace in a vulnerable position, the outstanding control and impact that Noxious Void provides is undeniably strong. Number 3. Medkit's Divine Resurrection. The best finisher for increasing survivability, Divine Resurrection is an incredible panic button that offers powerful widespread healing and utility. Upon use, it instantly heals a staggering 75 HP to all nearby allies. It also grants them the Armored buff for 1.5 seconds, allowing allies to resist up to 50 damage and gives Medkit some extra time to heal teammates in need. Of course, Divine Resurrection's most notable trait is its ability to revive teammates who have recently died to 50% of their max HP. This is quite literally a game changer in Conquer, allowing dead teammates to instantly respawn and take over the point. However, in Annihilate, it can be a double-edged sword, as reviving teammates at only 50% of their max HP makes them more susceptible to dying again, giving free kills to the opposing team. As long as it's used smartly, Divine Resurrection is extremely effective at changing the tides of a battle, and can often lead to the start of a game-winning comeback, claiming the number 3 spot. Number 2. Banhammer's Judgment. Judgment is a phenomenal finisher that has insane kill potential and half the work Banhammer has to do. Any enemy caught in Judgment will be executed and die immediately if their combined shields and HP is less than 50%. Coupled with almost instant cast time, grabbing multiple enemies, and being reusable up to 5 times after a successful execute, and you've got yourself an absolute beast of a finisher. It also briefly stuns any grabbed enemies, letting teammates damage them more easily, giving Banhammer a higher chance to execute. This could include picking off separated and more vulnerable enemies, or eliminating multiple grouped up enemies at once. Judgment's only weakness is its short range, but Banhammer's heavy stuns, confirms with his secondary, and Q ability significantly help Banhammer get close. It's no wonder this finisher most commonly causes pounds, completely shifting the advantage in one team's favor over the other, and is why it's placed at the number 2 spot. So, what could be more powerful than a finisher that can instantly kill any enemy at less than 50% of their health? How about a long-range finisher that will instantly kill an enemy you hit? Yup, at number 1, Hyper Laser's Eviscerating Ray. For a finisher to be truly extraordinary, it 1. Does something unique that other finishers cannot replicate, and 2. Has the power to completely turn the tables of a match. Eviscerating Ray, in my opinion, fits these two descriptions perfectly. Like I mentioned earlier, Eviscerating Ray charges Hyper Laser with an incredibly long-range laser that will incinerate any target hit. Killing an enemy will give Hyper Laser another shot, and up to 3 shots can be fired in total. That's a possible total of 3 dead enemy fighters. No finisher aside from Hyper Laser has this destructive power, and consequently has the strongest potential impact in matches. What's even funnier is that Eviscerating Ray's weaknesses illustrate just how strong it is. Upon use, smarter enemy players and teams will instantly be on alert. This might sound bad, but it's the fact that enemies have to respect and play around it shows just how threatening Eviscerating Ray is. It gives the opposing team another major trouble to worry about and keep in mind, further spreading their defenses thin. Plus, Hyper Laser still has access to his abilities, and can use his E ability to teleport to a different location, repositioning himself somewhere where enemies won't expect him. Just overall, an absolutely insane finisher, being an incredible nuisance for enemy teams to deal with, drastically able to affect a team's lead, and taking the number 1 spot. And that's it for this ranking and video. Sorry for being gone for a long time. I was feeling pretty burnt out and just didn't really know what to do with this channel, but I'm back on my feet with some new changes and ideas. Let me know your thoughts, opinions, and what rankings or videos I should do next, and thank you for watching.